Welcome back, everybody, to Two Dudes Talking Motorcycles. My name is Gleb. You can follow me on social media at GlebLapham.
And I'm Mitch. You can also follow me on Instagram at Meech to the Beach.
And you can also follow the podcast on Instagram at tdtmotorcycles. And you can also email us at tdtmotorcycles@gmail.com. Feel free to send us your ride stories, topic ideas, pictures of your bike, whatever other comments, questions, concerns, and feedback that you have. We love hearing from you guys. And today we are going to be talking about an interesting topic that I didn't even know about until Mitch brought it up just a couple of weeks ago, but it's about blood bikes.
Yeah.
And to give you the gist before fully jumping into it, they're kind of like a volunteer group across the UK that deliver primarily blood, but also plenty of other medical supplies and fluids and things across the UK. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit, but before we jump into the main topic, we do have a little bit of news about the 2027 Ibex 950 from CF Moto, and I also wanted to reply real quick to this comment from Spotify. Not really Spotify. Now I can't find who it was. This is from our episode a couple of episodes ago where we talked about riding through discouragement, and I think during that one I was talking about, when I visited my friend in Boston last year and we drove out to Rockport along the peninsula. I was just talking about the roads there looking like they'd be a lot of fun on the motorcycle. And one of our listeners responded that they live in Peabody near Salem, Massachusetts, and he concurs that those roads are very awesome to ride. So I think it's awesome that you live in that area and that you are able to ride those roads, because I think every time I see pictures of some of the roads out east, I mean, we have some great roads out west here too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Out east, there's some beautiful places, especially that northeast area where, especially I feel like in the fall, riding through like New Hampshire or Vermont, with those beautiful fall colors, that foliage, I feel like it would just be amazing to check out. And if I ever live in that area or have a chance to like rent a motorcycle in that area, I think it'd definitely be something really cool to check out. But thanks for letting us know that my thoughts were accurate in thinking that. Yeah, because y'all got some pretty roads out there and some beautiful coastlines to ride alongside. But
good.
The Ibex 950. We rode a few CF motos before, and I think we rode the big Ibex, like the 12.
I thought it was a smaller one, wasn't it? Or like there
was a big one that we rode too.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly which.
We rode some Ibex.
Some Ibex in some form. Maybe it was the smaller one. I think you might be right.
Yeah. Because a lot of those bikes that day were small displacement. But
and I don't know. I think they're a really good price, like value bikes, because you can get a lot of cool features for a relatively low price. And this also is kind of right up that alley with the Ibex 950. And the only complaint we really had was that
just the material.
The fit and finish and material doesn't quite fit. And we are spoiled because Triumph's fit and finish is top notch. It's one of the best I've seen on a bike. It's right up there with, I feel like, Ducati and BMW, where everything just, and I know bikes are kind of like, you'll see wires and hoses and stuff sticking out of them. They're not meant to be like fully pretty, especially on like an adventure bike, but it's more of like how those things are held onto the bike, how the switch gear feels, like how the plastic parts feel. They don't feel like hollow or super cheap flimsy plastic. They feel like a little bit more robust. Yeah. And the CF Moto, everything just kind of felt a little more budgety, but the bike still rode fairly well, I felt like.
Yeah, there was only that one that it was like their kind of sport tour. Yeah. That really, I don't know, something was off with that one. Like I really don't know if I should like judge CF Moto from my experience with that one bike, but it's like there was just nothing in that throttle. Like for the price though, like, and from what I hear reliability wise, like you're not getting a bad bike.
Yeah.
So
from what I hear, they're pretty good. And this bike comes with a liquid cooled parallel twin, 946cc parallel twin, pumping out 112 horsepower and 77 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty much right up there with most other bikes in that same capacity. My bike's a little bit lower. I think it's like 90-something horsepower, but the newer Triumph, they have roughly like 106 horsepower, I think, so kind of up there. I think the KTM 890 Adventure and the Husky 901, they have about 110 or so horsepower, and then same thing with the Ducati, the Desert X, 110, 115 horsepower around there.
Yeah.
And the F850 or F900 GS, also roughly around. So basically, they're all roughly around the same power.
Yeah.
And this bike is
up there
as well.
77.5 foot-pounds of torque at the 6,250 RPM. So.
And with it being a parallel twin, I feel like you'll get a decent amount of low-end torque. Because this is an adventure bike. It's kind of meant for a little bit both on and off-road. And the specs seem to pretty much fit that.
Yeah, and like for the package, like for the price, or I should say the price you'd pay for this package on this bike is not. It's pretty cool actually for the price, because you're looking at front suspension 48 millimeter KYB, fully adjustable, and a front suspension, rear suspension's KYB single shock, fully adjustable as well, and they're both front and rear 9.1 inches of travel, so
it's pretty high.
It's a tall bike. Yeah. It comes with a Brembo braking as well. 21-inch front tire, 18-inch rear, with a seat height of 34.3 inches, coming in at 489 pounds for the curb weight.
Which is
big bike.
Big bike, but pretty in line with most other bikes in that capacity. A little bit lighter than my bike, but I feel like once you slap on like the... What was that on their website? You saw the
engine guard.
The engine guard just looks like...
It's a big metal box for an engine guard. It looks really strange.
I feel like that would add a lot of weight.
And it's aluminum. It's not even like it's it's good.
Which probably keep the weight down, but still, I feel like if you were to add things like luggage racks, crash bars, the engine guard, bark buster, like a few other things, you're probably looking closer to that 500-pound mark.
Yeah. And, it's for all modern adventure bikes, too. Like, it wouldn't be an adventure bike without tech. So,
that's true.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and it has a 5.9-gallon fuel tank, which is actually pretty substantial, I think.
Yeah. So, and I can't tell from the pictures of it, but, like, I can't tell if it's going to have, like, that same gas tank down low, like the KTM and the Husky.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to tell from the photos as well.
Yeah. So, it's like, I don't know where the gas tank is on that, but if it was also down low, that would actually be pretty nice for a bike that big.
Because I did try out Emerson's, we talked about it in the last episode. I tried out Emerson's KTM 890, the Adventure, just kind of took it up and down the street a little bit, and I was immediately noticed that difference of having that low slung fuel tank and how it felt. That's lower center of gravity does give you a lot more confidence, kind of tilting the bike, especially at lower speeds. So it'd be kind of cool if it did have that similar kind of setup. Yeah. So as for electronics, it's pretty much in line with most other adventure bikes. Now, I don't remember liking like the software of the CF Motos too much when we tested them. I felt like it was kind of like, I mean,
I can't remember, to be honest.
It's kind of hard to compare like motorcycle software because I think most of it is kind of okay. Yeah. I think the best one is still BMW with how responsive that screen is and how easy it is to like change so many of the parameters.
Stuff, yeah.
Put probably Ducati right after them, I think, most things. But yeah, I don't remember it being bad, but I also don't remember it being like
nothing to write home about.
Great. Yeah. But it's an 8-inch TFT screen, which
vertical,
is
by the
huge.
way.
Vertical screen. Okay, that's kind of cool. Electronic throttle, multiple ride modes, cruise control, bi-directional quick shifter, tire pressure monitoring, and motorcycle stability control, steering damper, and adjustable windscreen, USB Type A and Type C, which is nice to hear.
Yeah.
Skip plate, handguards, heated seat, heated grips, and all of that for $12,500. Right. And that's where, as we were talking at the beginning, we're kind of the value of the CF Motos.
You're getting a lot of bang for your buck.
You are getting a lot of bang. You're getting a lot of tech for your bike, for your buck. And which is great. And I think especially for that kind of price, if someone wants to get into adventure riding and wants to kind of get something that's already fully equipped for, especially like a long journey, because a lot of those things, let's say like cruise control, heated grips, heated seat, they'll make a long trip so much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like at first you might not think you need all these tech features, especially cruise control. You might not think once you have it though,
it's really hard.
It's very hard to ride another bike for a long time without those features. Obviously, like heated grips, heated seat. If you live in a hot climate, you probably don't care as much. But the cruise control, you will absolutely love, especially if you're planning on riding the bike long distances.
Yeah, and I've said it before. My disclaimer for cruise control is as long as it's adjustable cruise control, because my bike has cruise control, but it's set it and that's it. If you need to adjust your speed, you have to turn it off, get to your speed again, and then reset it.
I will still take that over not having any cruise control at all, because then you don't have anything and you have to rely on like a throttle lock, which is essentially the same thing as you but without a button to press. So yeah, for $12,500, that's honestly not a bad deal, not a bad feature set for what you get. Now the build quality and stuff, I feel like CF Moto is still a fairly new brand, at least here in the States. But I personally haven't seen any kind of big news about any major problems or issues that they've been having. So I feel like it's probably pretty safe to buy them. And I feel like a lot of bikes aren't super complicated to work on. So if there are issues, I'm willing to bet it wouldn't be super hard to manage them.
Actually, one of my neighbors here, they have a CF Moto bike. I think it's a 750, like the little naked bike out there. And I mean, and we've talked about like with the ones that we test rode and everything, we're just kind of like, what is this? But I look at his and like, it'll have it has a basic like LED or LCD like display and whatnot on it. But when I walk by it, like nothing looks like it's falling apart. It doesn't look worn or anything like that. You know, it's like my bike is being stored outside. So I think just by walking by that bike, it's like, this must be a good one.
Yeah.
So
seems to hold up well.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but yeah.
All right. So that's the Ibex 950. And if you are buying a new motorcycle and you need some new gear to go alongside it, feel free to use our Revzilla affiliate link down in the description below. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does give a little bit of a kickback to our podcast.
Yeah.
Or feel free to buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/tdtmotorcycles to help support the show. Should we move on to our main topic?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So blood bikes. Like I mentioned earlier, the blood bikes are a group of volunteers spread across the UK who volunteer at their local communities to basically deliver donor like breast milk, even like fecal matter, like so many different things, medical supplies to various hospitals across their municipality or their region. And I when you brought it up, I thought this is a really cool and interesting concept. I've never personally heard of it about it before, so it was really cool to read into what they do and how they operate and how they're set up and kind of how they became more and more recognized throughout the UK as time went on, versus from just being they're still purely a volunteer group, but now they have a little bit more of benefits that they get for being volunteers. So let me go over just a little bit about their structure and their history, and then we'll talk about how they operate, how they transport blood, and what are the requirements for volunteering. But the blood bikers, they're represented by the National Association of Blood Bikers, and the association themselves consists of 35 groups as of 2022, and these groups are spread across the UK. They operate in different municipalities. To sign up for one, you basically go to that municipality's website, and the NABB, the NAB, the National Association, they basically kind of represent all these groups together and, lobby for them with the government. They set some training standards and riding standards that riders must meet, and kind of handle a lot of other more logistical and structural things of all the different organizations, and kind of basically act as like their liaison with the government and the larger public. And the basic requirements for most riders are that they must be 18 years or older, have completed an advanced rider's course and possess at least 12 months of riding experience. There is also it is a purely volunteer group, but over the years there was legislation that was passed to ensure that the volunteers can get a break for some of the costs they incur, because usually the volunteers are responsible for their bikes. They pay for the fuel, they pay for the maintenance, they pay for their motorcycle gear, they might pay for the panniers, and they have to be hard panniers as well. You can't use soft panniers, and you're basically using your own bike. And obviously they're volunteering their time and money and everything like that to for this program. There are a few abilities, or there's a few groups that have abilities to give official motorcycles with the official Blood Biker libraries.
Yeah, which look
to
pretty
their riders.
cool,
they do look really cool.
Emergency yellow,
and they're kind of for like very experienced riders and volunteers, and they'll at least pay for like the maintenance on those bikes. But you're still kind of responsible for like the fuel and other costs associated with it. The bikes. So this group, they sprung up in Surrey in 1960, with the group, one of the groups being founded by Margaret Ryerson and her husband, who formed the Surrey Emergency Volunteer Service to put motorcyclists to support local hospitals. And
I wanted to say with that too, because like the UK has such a history of like using bikes for services. We talked about in World War II.
Yeah, I was thinking about
the messenger
that as well.
bikes, the lady bikers, and everything like that. And now, like even today, they're still used for like an essential service to the country.
Yeah, which is really cool to see.
Yeah,
that, and it'd be really cool if you had something similar here, because I think it'd be a really kind of
we'll get into
like
that actually,
like a noble thing to like try and do. Like, hey, I have some free time on like a couple weekends a month. Like, why not kind of do it to help out the local community? In 1969, there was another group that was founded by Des Gibson. It was called the Freewheelers Youth Community Action Group, and they also provided a similar service to several hospitals in Stevenage area. If you're from the
We're
UK,
Americans, so what do we know?
Apologize about not pronouncing some of the names correctly. And now, currently, the Blood Bikers they span the entire UK and have a network of over 4,800 volunteers across 35 member groups, and have collectively done over 151,000 runs as of 2022, and that's runs like blood runs and runs from hospital to hospital or wherever they need to go. And like I mentioned earlier, the National Association of Blood Bikers is like the main governing body for the Blood Biker groups. The group sets the training standards and service standards and acts as a liaison with the government and local officials. And just some fun history facts. So in 2008, the Freewheelers in the Avon region received the Queen's Award for voluntary service. To date, 15 blood bike charities have received this award. In 2009, the first human donor milk run happened with them.
That's recent.
Yeah, pretty recent. In 2013, first home office type approval for blood bikes happened. So the Yamaha FJR 1300 was like the first officially approved bike for this volunteer group, even though most volunteers use their own bikes, but this was kind of like, if you want a bike that can handle this is the bike to do it. In 2015, the government recognized blood bikers as frontline service workers. Also in 2015, legislation was passed for blood bike volunteers to recover VAT costs associated with their service. So this kind of helps. For those of you American listeners, VAT is the value-added tax that most European countries have. It's basically kind of like probably similar to our sales tax.
Yeah, maybe a little more.
Something like that, yeah. But so basically a lot of goods you buy, you're spending that on as well. And this kind of helps them write it off on their taxes. So, which I think is really cool, because especially if you want more people to contribute to the service. And remember, this is a purely volunteer group. So if you can do something that helps them out and provide this service voluntarily, I think it's really cool that they give them a bit of a break, tax break from that. In 2000, Yeovil Free Riders celebrated their 40 years of continual operation. And then 2020, the government introduced zero rate road tax for blood bike volunteers. So basically,
so 2018 was their 40 year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then 2020, the government introduced their zero rate road tax. So basically, helping people like not pay like I'm assuming it's similar as like the car registration that we pay here, motorcycle registration to kind of offset some
so
of
you're
that
exempt
cost.
from, that's for your service. That's cool.
And then during the pandemic, the blood bike groups operated pretty much 24/7 versus just mainly being limited to nights and weekends like they currently are. So operating 24/7 and received significant increase in number of volunteer requests, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's
and
really good, cool stuff. And for your people listening, the majority of our audience is American.
Yeah.
So like, maybe there are people out there who haven't heard of this. It's really cool, like bit of that country's day to day, So, but
I mean, they're big supporters of like obviously like the NHS, which, and I just it was kind of fascinating like reading about this, and I would love to kind of look into it even more so. And I mean, if you are in the UK and you're listening to this and you are either familiar with somebody that is a blood bike like volunteer, or you have done it yourself, feel free to shoot us an email.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you. Maybe even try and get you on the show somehow, or just shoot you an email with some questions and for you to answer. It'd be really cool to hear from someone who's actually done this in person, has done this live, and talk to them. It'd be really, really fun to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But yeah, it was just kind of fascinating to read about this. And while I was reading about it, it was the first thought that popped into my head was when we did our kind of like motorcycles and war episode, where that's kind of what it reminded me of is, you have this kind of nimble and somewhat efficient mode of transportation, depending on where you live, that can bypass some traffic jams, that can kind of maybe hit smaller roads, even hit dirt roads if you need to, kind of a little bit quicker than a car might be able to. And to utilize that for services like medical transportation, for some medical supplies, it's kind of a cool concept.
Well, and especially like in a country too, like, like where the service like can get spread pretty thin, like in the rural areas. Like, maybe you don't want to send a whole van or a truck of supplies down that way, or you don't have the means to, but a bike can load up.
Especially if it's a volunteer bike, you don't even have to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's a really cool concept. And I remember, I didn't put it in my notes here, but I remember reading a tidbit. They're actually trying to pass legislation that will allow them to also exceed speed limits in certain areas so they can deliver the goods faster. But it's still not kind of...
Yeah, and that would require more training. They'd probably have to get like police bike training.
Or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, these motorcyclists, like I said, they use their own bikes, so they don't have any like sirens on them. They don't have any legal authority to like exceed the speed limit or break traffic laws. In fact, that the NABB is very strict about like the standards that they set. They have to obey traffic laws. They have to obey traffic legislation and kind of all these different things. It's not like it gives you free reign to kind of ride like a maniac through traffic because you're delivering blood.
Oh yeah, and you wouldn't want someone doing that because if they're riding recklessly, then you're going to lose all that precious blood. And,
that's very true. And I do think what you said about if they are going to kind of allow them to break some traffic laws and kind of...
Or make them exempt to it while they're
make
on
them
duty.
Make them exempt to it. That's the word I was looking for. They probably have to introduce even more training or kind of allow that, and especially like training, like when can you do this and when you can't do this, because I could totally see it becoming like a... like almost people having like an excuse to do it because, I volunteer as a blood biker, but I'm not, even if they're on duty, they're riding recklessly, which you probably don't want that associated with.
Then you're just increasing the chance that you or somebody that you involve in your wreck is going to need blood.
You're
going to add to the problem.
So I can see why it's taking longer to do that, but I think it also would probably be beneficial for them to actually be able to be exempt from some of the road rules if they're in more of a time crunch to deliver blood. Because I don't know, you worked in the sheriff's department here and had some like EMT training, right?
I've done a bit of training in the past on that stuff, but there's a time and place for stuff like that too.
But like, isn't blood like it has a certain time limit before you have to deliver it? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming it's like chilled or cooled or kept in like special container within the container to kind of keep it at the right temperature to be able to be transported and survive the transport.
Yeah, it's got to be stored properly. Like there's a definite like temperature and timeline that you have to follow with blood and stuff like that, getting it transported, you know, and like and a big part of like the amazing stuff that these blood bikers do is that they work and coordinate with blood banks, you know, and it's like they're open 24/7. The bikers will pick those up and they're little coolers, you know, and they got to get them there in a certain amount of time. The blood bank has to be on top of storage and like labeling, categorizing. Like just some facts I have here too. Like red blood cells, you know, proper storage, they can last up to 42 days. Platelets will only last 5 days with like light shaking, so it doesn't coagulate and sit still.
Yeah.
And then the plasma that can last up to a year if frozen properly. You know, and they're, again, like I said, they have different blood types they got to keep track of and ordered and everything like that. So the blood bank's got to do all that stuff. The biker's got to get it to the right place, you know, and within the right amount of time. Like it's a logistical miracle in some ways, you know, they can get that done, especially like where really these are volunteers running these two stations and whatnot.
Yeah.
And what gave me the idea for this episode, there was a YouTube video, a guy in the UK, he's shadowed a blood biker and he followed the guy, like the actual volunteer, and then he was dropping off blood to an airfield, like with a helicopter ambulance.
Wow.
So they could have it stored there, ready to go.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really cool.
Yeah. It was really interesting, to see. And then like with the volunteers, they have like a standard, pretty high standard that they keep up. Like there's a huge wait list I've been reading online for people who want to do it. Like they have wait lists because they already have so many volunteers now from 2020 and whatnot. But they typically want some like older riders with more experience. They have to have their unrestricted, what license? Yeah. Whatever the bigger version of the license is.
So I'm assuming like 650cc or 1000cc and up. Basically, you can ride any bike.
Yeah.
You have to be able to ride any bike.
But you have to have that license for more than a year, plus a clean driving record. You have to pass a background check. They have to interview and like you. Then you have to pass an assessment ride. And then they also have to train you like in that medical, like transportation, like proper storage and transfer of bodily fluids and stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's really... Yeah, I thought it was really cool, and I do wish that we had something like that for bikers here in the U.S., but looking into that, way too many restrictions in the U.S. when it comes to like insurance liabilities and medical stuff, you know, laws and everything. But also in the U.S., like our logistics standpoint for medical transportation, like we don't really have the need for a volunteer program to like on motorcycles to do that. Yeah. Also, our country is a lot larger. You know, we have. I feel like ways.
if something like this popped up in the States, it would be a very state by state, almost like municipality by municipality basis. Mm-hmm. I could see it being something very interesting or cool to have in a lot more rural areas. Yeah, especially getting to some of those like very outlying rural communities where you might need something like that. But we also have like plenty of issues where so many rural hospitals in the States are kind of losing a lot of funding and getting shut down. And those people are having to go further and further to receive medical care. So I feel like this is going to be one of those things that I doubt we'll ever see happen in the near future, because
not with bikes,
and with a lot of other things, because I feel like there's A, lack of funding, B, going to be lack of training, and C, I feel like Americans are also very sue happy, and if something were to happen to either the bike that's transporting the blood or the hospital that gave the blood to the bike or the blood bank, all these things, something's going to happen. Someone's going to try to sue the other person.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but like in a lot of my feed on Reddit and social media and stuff, I'm always seeing stuff about somebody mentioning like we should ban motorcycles, like they're dangerous and blah 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 blah. Like
I'm not seeing that on my feed.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm seeing stuff like that.
I do see the the kind of the discord about like, bikes being dangerous,
well, here
unsafe.
in Utah,
Why
lane
would
splitting.
anyone ride them?
Yeah, like all the people that were complaining about lane splitting or lane filtering. Sorry.
Yeah.
Lane filtering here. I had a family member when I started riding, like that was going on.
Oh yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah,
and I feel like just a lot of. I feel like because here it's treated so much like a hobby.
Yeah.
Versus in some countries, and I don't know how. Like what the UK's perception of motorcycles is, but I've seen riders from the UK like lane filtering as a thing there, lane splitting as a thing. I think is a thing, maybe. I know lane filtering for sure is a thing. Yeah. So I think people are just kind of more used to seeing them in the UK and riding and seeing motorcyclists
just outside the US, really. Yeah.
But here in the US, like we mentioned plenty of times, it's purely a very hobby thing. There's not as many people in the U.S. that all rely on their motorcycle as their sole means of transportation. That's just because it's just the way things sit up. We're a very car-centric country. So most everybody grows up and has a car, and motorcycles is more of a fun thing to have afterwards.
Yeah.
So it might be a little bit different in the U.K., but I feel like it probably still is more of a hobby thing. I saw a lot
of bikes when I was
I saw a ton in Ireland when I was there as well. It's in most European countries, especially like more southern ones where the weather is usually more consistent. You see a lot of people riding around like scooters and smaller displacement bikes. Or have you saw in Mexico when we went
everywhere.
there? Just everybody.
Little
125 or 50cc bikes riding around. But I could see it just because the U.S. is very happy to litigate and sue and place blame on someone else. And I just don't see it working here unless it was something that was very strictly established and the public was made aware of. Yeah. So I don't know. U.S. is a tricky place.
Yeah. And unfortunately like you said, we'll probably never have like a blood biker program.
At least not a national one. I could see it being some kind of volunteer group in like a random city.
Yeah, maybe if insurance would be okay with it.
Yeah. And that's the other thing I feel like too is, there at least like I'm assuming the National Association can talk to the NHS and be like, hey, what kind of requirements do you need so we do this safely and properly to get the blood to where you need to do. It's all publicly and publicly owned versus here we have all these different insurance companies with different requirements.
Yeah.
So who's going to cover the cost of that transportation? Even if there are volunteers, there's probably going to be some costs associated with it.
Yep.
Honestly, knowing America, someone's going to try to make a buck out of it and just make it a non-volunteer thing. Just,
right.
Hey, pay me money.
Yeah. The only like equivalent thing we'd have to like a volunteer like blood transportation service, like the American Red Cross does offer that, but you're just driving vans and trucks, but
not
still like
you're bike.
not as cool, not as fun, but you are carrying a larger load and but you are providing that same service. You are delivering to rural areas and getting those fluids like where they need to be on time. So, the UK just does it in a much more fun way.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about what their day today looks like as a volunteer?
Yeah, from what I could find, it seems like the typical day of riding for a volunteer is like your shifts are going to be during the off hours, like evenings, weekends, on holidays. That's actually I found out too that those blood banks, like they're around the clock too. Like they're coming in, like if there's an emergency or something, there's always someone there.
That makes sense.
So it just kind of like in that video I watched, what I'll give the title for, it did kind of highlight that like blood bikers and like the staff in those blood banks, like they're just kind of like the behind the scenes heroes, so that medical staff can do what they need to do.
There was an article that I read about, was doing research for this story on the BBC's website where they were talking about, they kind of just interviewed one of the groups. There's only 4% of the blood bikers that consist of women riders. Mostly it's male riders.
Yeah, male dominated world.
But they interviewed one of the riders, and she was just talking about how, she kind of wanted to do it to kind of, do something for our community, give back to the community. Sure, older Triumph 1200 or 800 to kind of get the blood around.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was kind of a very cool thing. And I feel like if there was some kind of program here, or if I lived in the UK, I feel like that would be something I would definitely look into. But
Same.
she's talking about how, she had calls coming in and all kinds of weather, where it's sunshine or rain and longer distances, and you kind of have to do it. She spent about 80 hours a month on call to do that kind of to do the work.
And that's all volunteer.
It's purely volunteer, which I think makes it kind of even more noble. This is not like a job. It's not a paid profession. You don't really get money out of it, but it's purely to help out the community. And
they feel like they have a calling to it.
Yeah, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's a very noble thing to do.
And like when you're talking about like the how many hours like without that person spent, I mean, like your routes can easily reach over 100 miles. Like you said, all types of weather. Downpouring rain, blistering heat.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm not sure which I would rather ride in anymore.
Like, give me the downpour, man.
Yeah, I know.
Screw the heat.
It's rough.
Do it.
Yeah,
I'd rather ride in the rain, even though riding in the rain is not my favorite. I'd rather do that than feel like I'm being cooked, air fried alive.
Yeah. Well, and I know the UK, these last recent years, they've had some heat waves, but those bikers are out in that. And here we are. We're not riding this weekend. It's too hot.
But I feel like if you do sign up for that, you kind of hopefully you know what you're getting into and are prepared to handle any kind of adverse conditions that you can get. I'm curious. Like I said, it would be awesome if someone were like reach out to us and be awesome to chat with them and how they do it. Because I mean, I've never been to the UK, but I have. I've been to Ireland, and I've had friends that have been to Scotland before, and just hearing them talk about the kind of roads that they have there. Some of the roads in Ireland, in my experience, there are some narrow roads.
Yeah,
they're very narrow roads with a lot of blind corners, and they're still two-way roads with fairly high speed limits. So it's kind of insane. And I can kind of, and like I meant, that's why earlier I mentioned that I can see the benefit of it being a motorcycle that's doing this, is because you're not going to get stuck in maybe some kind of traffic jam.
Yeah.
If, two cars are trying to pass each other on a narrow road, you don't have to deal with that. You can just get closer to the edge and pass them, or squeeze in between a line of cars because you can filter through. So I can see why it can be such a benefit. Plus, I mean, a bike is a lot of times can be cheaper to operate than the car. It's cheaper to fill up. It's a little more, like I said, more nimble, quicker to get around. And maintenance wise, I feel like tires are probably pretty expensive, but oil changes and things are pretty simple to do on the bike.
Yeah.
So I can see why it's such a benefit versus having to drive like a van around, especially on those narrow rural roads. Or, I mean, I'm assuming that, if it's a very big emergency and they need blood or an organ right away, they'll send like a helicopter or something much quicker than that. But for blood and for like breast milk, medical supplies, things that don't perish super quick, I can see why this is such a good idea to have.
Right.
And, but I'm assuming like I didn't see anything about them transporting actual organs or anything like that. That's even more time crucial than like
I didn't see anything about organ. Yeah. It's like, but blood is super important. Like, and I don't know if you ever donated blood, but blood banks, here in the US, and then from what I could gather in the UK, like they always need more blood.
Yeah. I actually tried to donate blood in high school once, and they told me I couldn't because I was born in Russia.
Oh,
because they had that whole mad cow disease thing going on in Europe in like the 80s and 90s or whatnot.
Yeah, I bet you could now.
I probably could now, but they said that's why I couldn't do it. So I was like, oh, well, that's a bummer.
I've donated blood like a couple times, probably like not as much as I probably should have.
Yeah.
I right now I can't for another year or two because I'm getting tattoo work done. They don't.
Oh, that's right.
They won't take blood. If you've had
tattoo.
Like I think it's up to a year, 2 years, something like that.
Gotcha.
But no, they always need it, and I think it's awesome that they have such a long wait list and they have like such strict requirements because like the blood itself, super valuable. Not dollar wise, but like they really need this.
Yeah,
so.
and there's My work organizes blood drives all the time for
Mm-hmm.
people to donate. I mean, we see them all over the place. So
Yeah.
there's never a shortage of it. And it's cool to see that there's people that want to help and get that blood to who needs it.
Well, especially
faster.
I mean, like we're not obviously, we're here in the U.S., but like at the same time, I feel like we could say like it's cool to see like the motorcycle community at large, like
doing something
answering
like this.
a need. That, that they're.
And I'm kind of curious,
town
like
needs.
we in this episode we primarily focused on the UK, but I personally didn't see anything quickly pop up about like whether other countries have this similar kind of like service or system set up. But if you do, if you are listening from somewhere outside the UK, anywhere else in the world, and your country has something similar to this, shoot us an email and let us know, because I'd love to hear about. Or if you have any other kind of like special motorcycle groups that do something, not necessarily this, but they're kind of like doing something for their community. It'd be really cool to hear about all the different kinds of groups around the world that do this kind of stuff or something similar in other countries. Because I mean, if it's in the UK, I feel like there's got to be more out there in other places.
I'm sure there is. Like, this is just the one that like I saw.
Yeah.
And
this is the first one that pops up like all over Google as soon as you see it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there's other countries that.
I'd have to imagine
set up.
Yeah. Like, especially like we said, like those countries that have a more like motorcycle centric transportation, have to. There's got to be something out there for it.
I think so too.
But I think this was a good one just to like give a shout out to some volunteers across the pond that provide an essential service.
I mean, props to all of you that do volunteer for this, and keep up the awesome work, because I think that's a very, very noble and very just awesome thing to do and to give back to your community.
It's very impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah. So.
But anyways, that's our episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this topic. And if you have more ideas for topics kind of like this, with this special motorcycle groups around the world, like I said, feel free to shoot us an email. But thank you.
Oh, I was just going to give that video, if you guys did want to go find it, it's just called Shadowing a Blood Biker by the young filmmaker. That's who made it. I thought he did a really good job with that video.
Perfect.
And then because we do have a lot of listeners in the UK.
True.
If you guys are interested in this, or if you even want to donate, you can just get some information from the bloodbikes.org.uk.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See ya.